4,000. Hello. Good morning. How are you? Greetings from Dublin. My name is Nicola. I teach the Artist's Way and I work as a visual artist, sometime writer. A lot of the time the writing that I do is free writing, but a lot of nuggets come out in free writing in morning pages. So this is all to do with mostly the Artist's Way. Now, if you haven't done the Artist's Way or if you don't have the book, it's okay. You can still engage in free writing. Free writing is a great exercise to kind of explore subjects, clean out gunk. Might take a little while for that gunk to, shift and move, but eventually it does. And we're here to help you. We're here to shepherd you through that difficult time of starting to write and finishing writing, okay? Because sometimes starting the writing is difficult. And when we do it in a timed communal sort of space like this, and we know that in 45 minutes I'll be free, in 45 minutes I'll be stopping. There's a certain reassurance in that. There's a certain confidence in that. And morning pages practice is about developing that sense of trust. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. We're developing a sense of trust in ourselves, in our practice, that maybe creativity could be for us. If that makes sense, let me know. So who do we have on? We have Mandakini. Hello, good morning, Mandakini. Great to see you. Great to talk to you during the week. Hope you're keeping well. Today we were going to talk briefly about stories, the stories that we tell ourselves, okay? And you might find that morning pages can help you explore stories, okay? So when I say stories, I mean, the kind of self-talk that we indulge in. Most of it is, well, in my case, most of it is really unhelpful. It's a story that I'm telling myself. It's a reinforcement, belief that I took one day in response to something and held on to it for dear life. And pages can help us not necessarily talk us out of these stories, but what you might explore at some point today or another day is to take your stories. When we take our stories and put them down on paper like this, it allows us explore the pros and the cons, the validity, the origins of a story that we're telling ourselves. So stories like, I'm just going to go into the book now and see, sometimes Julia gives us really good prompts, especially early on in some of the early chapters. Some of the stories that we tell ourselves are, quite severe. A lot of the time they start with the words, I can't, or there's no time, there's no education, there's no expertise. I don't know anything about such and such. What are the stories that you tell yourself? Have a think about that. I'm going to go back into the book and see if I can get any little prompts from Julia. Yeah. Here we are. She calls it kind of detective work, archaeological digging, exploration. And some of the stories that we might tell ourselves is, I don't do it much, but I would like to do, fill in the blank. If it weren't too late, I would. My favorite thing to do when I was young is, and you might find a blurt follows that. You might find that a blurt follows that. My favorite thing to do when I was a child was doodle, but there was always chores to do. And it can help to put that down on paper, because the mind, during free writing, the mind gets to say, actually, is that really true? Maybe I was doodling for another reason. Maybe there wasn't as many chores, but I wanted to keep my mother happy. So looking at the stories that we tell ourselves is really, really helpful. And it's something you might enjoy doing today. Okay, I'm going to set my timer. It's 6 past the hour. And I want you to get your pen and paper ready. We do 45 minutes of timed free writing that looks messy, like that, yeah? We do at least 3 pages in 45 minutes. But I don't want you to get too hung up on the number of pages, because that can make us feel like a failure if we haven't hit 3 pages, okay? Now get yourselves ready. Grab your pen. Oh, grab my pen. Where's my pen? Okay. 45 minutes is starting now. Now, there's our 45 minutes. Done. Well done. Stay with the same pen or change, because now we're doing 7 minutes review, going back over the pages that we've written, circling insights, circling secrets, things that we want to remember, discoveries. Okay, your 7 minutes starts now. 1 minute left. Compass. Oh, there's our time up. Wow. Well, how did you find today's morning pages? How did you find it? Let me know in the comments, and I'll let you know how I got on mine. Holy God. What came out is, just as an aside, what came out is gratitude for this practice, gratitude for this kind of spot in the diary in the week, and knowing that every Friday there's going to be an hour of talking. There's going to be the dialogue, and the lovely dialogues that came out today. Lots of exploration and some difficult truths. So I'll just tell you a little bit. I'm not going to explain too much because, of course, morning pages are private. You do know that, and I hope that you always keep them private. Some people do read through them again, especially if you're doing the 12-week Artist's Way program. I think you read them back in week 9. Sometimes people burn them, but it's just important that you don't share too much. So what happened in mine was talk about a compass, and the fact that the compass continues to point to one thing, and lots of gratitude for the practice. Some solutions to some problems that I'm having, professional problems. People like, talk to this guy, talk to this woman, and so I kind of am taking down those pointers. A reminder to myself to look after a few bits and pieces. I'm flying to London tomorrow, just for a day, and definitely just needing to have a little self-care before I hop on the plane. Um, um, the stuff about stories, that did come up. The stories came up, and that idea that the story isn't necessarily true or untrue, but that I am gaining awareness of the storytelling that I'm doing to myself, if that makes sense. And a lot of the time doing morning pages, doing the Artist's Way, we are encouraged to simply observe, to simply pay attention, explore, put down on paper, doodle something out. And in that way, we're getting to safely but surely explore pros of something, cons of something, and simply sit on a fence and pay attention. It's a little bit like meditation. Meditation, you're asked to observe your thoughts from a little bit of a distance, sometimes to take those thoughts, whether helpful or unhelpful. We're encouraged to take those thoughts and place them gently down onto the floor, onto a flowing stream, something like that. And it's much the same when we look at our storytelling. It's much the same when we gain awareness of the stories that we tell ourselves. So we're doing a little bit of exploration in our pages now and then, you know. All right, Mandakini, let's see what you have to say. You're on live. It's great to see you, and thank you so much for being here. Mandakini says, got a haircut, slept very little, feeling lightheaded, a bit scattered, but clarifying. Okay, that's lovely. And she also says, it does. Our inner narratives are like the hidden puppet masters that direct our lives. Oh my goodness. So true, Mandakini. So true. Those inner narratives are just like, like Punch and Judy sometimes, hitting us over the head. It's really good just to even develop our awareness of this and pay attention to it, you know, and know that, yeah, when I tell myself this story, I feel terrible, or I know in my heart it's not true, but it's so convincing. And there's no one else telling a different story. There's no other story. There's no other narrative being dredged up. There's no other narrative. So it helps sometimes to be aware of storytelling, because when we're aware of storytelling, then we spot the ones that aren't helpful and we go, oh, there's always space to write a new one. Come up with some other plot points and characters and something that might give us peace rather than chaos. Does that make sense? And Dakini says, I find that some or even most of my actions are footnotes to my mother's life as I perceive it. Let me just digest that. Some or even most of my actions are footnotes. Footnotes being, oh yeah, okay, so footnotes being like supplementary notes to your mother's life. Yeah, there may be echoes there. There may be echoes, and obviously storytelling goes from generation to generation as well, doesn't it? Okay, Mandakini, I have a few things going on here today, so I'm going to wrap up my call here. Okay, and if anyone is watching the replay, thank you so much for joining in. Please tell your friends. Please keep coming. Please keep coming, mostly for yourself and for the inner creative inside you. A lot of us are working hard at regular jobs, teaching, social work, retail, and we mightn't always believe that there is either creative skills inside of us or creative rights inside of us. That is, do I have permission to practice art? Do I have the right to write? And I'm here to remind you that you are absolutely creative and that you have the permission. And sometimes coming to a community like this facilitates that permission and gives us safety and gives us a little bit of maybe a playground to start playing with that notion of creativity and meeting the artist that is inside us, meeting the writer, poet, potter, dancer, embroiderer, papier-mâché modeler, puppeteer. Oh gosh. All right. Mundakini says, so trying to stand aside from that narrative and to allow myself to be happy myself just the way I am. Yeah. Not just my mother's daughter. Yeah. That acceptance is a lovely thing. It's a lovely, lovely thing. And I hope that there's plenty of acceptance there today, Mandakini, or if it's not there, that it's coming, that it's on the way, isn't it? All right. Great to see you guys. Have a lovely day, a lovely weekend, and I will see you again next Friday, okay, for more morning pages. Keep up the great work, and thank you for being here. Okay, bye. Bye bye from sunny Dublin. Bye.